Hare Krishna. Today in this short video, I'll be talking about how to practice meditation in Supramental Yoga. There are different meditation practices, and to be very honest, there is not something that prescribed by Sri Aurobindo and Divine Mother in terms of how to practice meditation. Mother has spoken in many places about different things. She has spoken about one must go within at least twice a day, one should practice some amount of meditation. The essential purpose for which one should meditate is trying to silence the mind and trying to surrender to God. So there are many things that has been spoken by Divine Mother and Sri Aurobindo in his writings. But most of the times, the practitioners ask something very basic. I have come across and met many of my brothers and sisters who are practicing Supramental Yoga of Sri Aurobindo, who worship Divine Mother and Sri Aurobindo, who pray, worship, and do whatever practices they provide, do their services to Divine Mother. They sometimes do their work in the ashrams. They do all kinds of things. But everybody asks the same thing: how do we meditate? Mother and Sri Aurobindo have not prescribed anything. That is, nobody teaches in our whether in our study circles or in our ashrams how to meditate. But they say, okay, there is silence, we play Mother's music and we meditate. It becomes really difficult for most of the people who are not initiated into any form of meditation. So today I'm going to talk about very simple forms of meditation that I started practicing, and I have been practicing meditation for last more than 30 years, and I felt this helped me. So what happens? Ultimate objective of meditation is having union of our individual consciousness with the divine consciousness that dwells within our heart. That is the first thing that needs to happen. So Sri Aurobindo has made it very clear. One must realize union with self or Brahman or Paramatman, and that is the primary state, without which Supramental Yoga is not possible. He said self-realization is first. And once you have had self-realization, then you can start practicing the Supramental Yoga, which are the next steps. So sometimes people get really stunned. Oh, there is something beyond self-realization, because there was always people thought that self-realization is the last step. When individual consciousness is united with the divine consciousness, one realizes that everything in Brahman is avasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. What Isa Upanishad says, everything is Brahman, he is within, he is without, and then the fear goes away and one is freed from suffering. So there is no more suffering, there is no more fear. One experiences intense happiness and peace. And if one wants to live in this world and continue to work, one continues. One doesn't want to live in this world anymore, withdraws into heaven, so wherever it has to do. The soul is free after that to take a choice what it wants to do. In case of a Supramental Yoga, Sri Aurobindo said that that's not the purpose. The purpose is evolution of consciousness on earth. Okay, by realization of oneness of individual consciousness or soul with Brahman, you realize the original state where you realize the oneness with God, and you realize that you are not different. Lord is within, without, everything is Brahman. But then, even if you withdraw from this world and you leave this world, the world remains as it is. Nothing really changes. So you should not be selfish. You should try to contribute towards evolution of consciousness on Mother Earth, from where you practiced it. And this should help all your brothers and sisters and all living beings on the Mother Earth. Right? And that is why the purpose of Supramental Yoga is not only to realize Brahman or self within one's own heart, within one's own soul, but also try to divinize the instruments, because our instruments are mind, our body, and our life force, and all three are contributions of nature. These are nature's instrument that the soul assumes to live and live its life on earth. So our mind belongs to nature, our body belongs to nature, and our life or our vital energies, they all belong to nature. But because they have become material, we have drawn them from the matter, so they are material in nature. And SriAurobindo said, by practice of supramental yoga, we can divinize all the three instruments. So the instrument, the mind becomes a instrument of light, our, our vital becomes a pure instrument of love, divine love, and our body becomes a, really an engine for divine work. And one lives in the world in full of joy, but one contributes to the evolution of consciousness on earth. So one becomes a divine human being, one becomes an instrument of God to serve his work. So those are all great things, but where to start? That's most of the time the question by most of our brothers and sisters who practice supramental yoga or who want to practice. They said, okay, one of the things is that we read SriAurobindo's writings, right? Now, why should we read SriAurobindo and Mother's writings? Is because that is the first thing. When you read their writings, you come in contact with their consciousness, because their writings contain the force of their consciousness. It's not like a writing of a philosopher or some ordinary writer. All these writings, they themselves, by their yogic power, has packed their writing with their own consciousness. So you come in contact with their consciousness, and that helps you. So that opens up your heart, that cleans your consciousness, so that you start understanding intuitively understand how the yoga has to be practiced. Okay, so that's very, very important. So I would say somebody who like to practice supramental yoga, first thing you should do is have a picture of Divine Mother and SriAurobindo, and the basic minimum thing is sit in silence for a few minutes in front of the picture and pray to Divine Mother and SriAurobindo and ask for their grace and blessings. Okay, so this is the first thing: devotion to the Guru and devotion to Divine Mother. Divine Mother and SriAurobindo, they're one, they are not two different. So they're one in two bodies. Mother represents the divine love, and SriAurobindo represents the divine bliss, consciousness, all that. So they are one divine force represented in two bodies. So you should always try to worship them as if they are one, two aspects of the same divine consciousness. So once you start worshipping both of them, you will start receiving their grace. And this is the best thing about divine beings. If you pray to them, if you worship them, you will always get their grace and blessings. They are like that. They just can't help it. They shower their grace. The second thing is they read their books. At least try to spend some time in reading the books of SriAurobindo and Mother, so that we come in contact with them, with their consciousness, and that will help your consciousness it will prepare it to practice yoga. Now the third thing is the most important thing I wanted to talk today is how to practice meditation. See, meditation is a very, very difficult practice. So what meditation means in a very simple word is turning your consciousness or turning your mind within and sitting in your heart. The mind should stay on your heart in absolute silence, without any thoughts, without any emotions, without any vibration. Sit in silence in the heart. That is what is called meditation. But to get there, to get to that state of meditation, is a long journey. Sometimes it takes lifetimes. Sometimes it may take many lives. Some people may be very lucky. Divine Mother said that people who can attain to that state within 30 years' time can consider themselves extraordinary. So that means you understand when Mother is saying this. So for an ordinary person, it's preparation of many lifetimes. So one should not think about arriving there straight away. It's a journey, but the journey should be beautiful. That's what I think in one place Ramakrishna said. It is not the destination. Destination is the same for everybody, but it's the journey that matters. So that is why the journey should be joyful. And another thing I would like to talk about supramental yoga is supramental yoga teaches us that we should live in this world. We should live among people. We should work. We should be part of this world. We should get married. We should have family. We should do anything that we are supposed to do. And within the world, living in this world, we should practice supramental yoga, so that it is not from withdrawal. So withdrawal is not the way in supramental yoga, unlike other yoga which you can withdraw from the world, you can go somewhere else and practice it. This yoga requires you to stay engaged in the world and practice it. The best part of supramental yoga is one gets the blessings of Divine Mother. So while you are practicing, while you are on your journey to self-realization, realization of God, you are never detached, and Mother's grace is always there with you. So it gives you good health, it gives you financial prosperity, it protects you from all kinds of difficulties. So it's as if your own mother, the Divine Mother, is all powerful. She is the supreme, she is the Aditi, she is the primal energy of the Supreme Divine. So her grace always protects you, always provides you whatever you need to go happily, live happily in this world also. So it's double benefit. So while you are practicing yoga, while you are practicing yoga to reach union with God, you are not deprived of anything, you are not withdrawing, you are not trying to put yourself under severe kind of austerities and want and difficulty. No, your journey is also very pleasurable, and that's the good part of it. Now coming to the meditation part of it, how we should start practicing meditation, right? So the first thing that I always think about the meditation is nothing but a loving adoration of the Divine Mother and SriAurobindo. That should be the starting point. Instead of doing it outwardly, you have to do it inwardly. So the first thing that one should practice is close your eyes, sit in a sacred place that you feel is sacred. Put Mother and SriAurobindo's picture in front of you. Sit quietly there. Close your eyes. Make sure the place is a quiet place, and focus on your heart. And keep Divine Mother and SriAurobindo's picture in your heart. Close your eyes and try to offer your devotion to them. One of the easy ways of offering devotion, let's say you can take a basket of flower and you can keep offering flower one by one at the feet of Divine Mother and SriAurobindo, and tell them all the things that you want. If you have any worries, any anxieties, any fears, or you are looking for something, talk to them as if they are your parents and you are the child, and try to seek their help, seek their grace, seek their blessings. So talk. So that dynamic meditation is the starting point. That's how I used to do when I started. Try to keep Divine Mother in your heart, and sometimes also try to keep Divine Mother on the head, above the head, on the Sahasrara. So worship her at both the centers. Right? So that will do one thing in due course of time, and try to spend at least 30-40 minutes. I recommend that if possible, try to keep 1 hour every day for your time with the Divine, and you will see that things will happen miraculously. Once you spend time with the Divine, you will realize things, your life, you always feel that I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. You will realize that time start working as your friend. Because time, or Kala, what we call Kala, it's not really a physical time, it's a mystery, it's a force of the Lord. So when you try to approach, go closer to the Divine and worship the Divine, two things you will realize. One is that you will always have enough time to do whatever you want to do. You will never be fall short of time. And the second thing, all your needs will be fulfilled. You will never feel that you're deprived of something. You need something but you don't have it. And that's the grace of Mother and SriAurobindo. Okay, so those are really beautiful things. So I would say that keep 1 hour to yourself, okay, where you sit in one silent place without any disturbance. Always try to do it when nobody is awake. That's the best time. So let's say your family wakes up at 6 o'clock, you try to wake up at 5 o'clock. And when everybody is sleeping, that's the time you use to practice it. So when people wake up, you start going with your daily routine. Second thing is keep Mother SriAurobindo's picture in front of you. Third thing is that close your eyes, sit quietly there, and try to focus your attention in your heart and try to make the whole process of meditation dynamic. Don't try to keep it static. I'll sit in silence. No, that's not the beginning of that. Will happen maybe after 15, 20 years, or 10 years, or 30 years. But in the beginning, for a long period of time, try to keep the picture and focus on the picture. Okay, so if you try interacting, you feel as if Mother is there. She's trying to touch your head. She try to keep your head at her feet and say, Mother, please give me blessings. Mother, please give me grace. I need your grace. I need your blessings. You try to protect me. Try to give me this. Try to give me that. Ask, because divine is unlimited and infinite. You can ask anything you want. Instead of asking anybody outside to any human being, ask the divine and see how things happen in your life. So those are very, very important things. And other thing is that you should try to read for sometimes a page or 2 pages of writings of Mother SriAurobindo. That will bring you in direct contact with their consciousness. Pray them within your heart and try to keep Mother's picture in your imagination. Close your eyes, keep her, think as if Mother is sitting on your sahasrara, and the grace, her light and her force is pouring through you. You are bathing in her light. The white light from Mother's feet is bathing you, and you're getting purified with it. That's a very powerful, so that's called practice, meditation of grace. So try to practice that. So keep Mother SriAurobindo in your heart and try to offer her flowers, fruits, something, talk to her, try to spend time, interact, and then keep Mother on your sahasrara and imagine that a white light from Mother's feet is pouring through your consciousness, pouring through your being, and it is cleansing you. It's trying to cleanse your soul, your mind and body, making it completely healthy, completely beautiful, and it is helping you to get united with the divine who dwells within your heart. I think this is I would say the starting point, and I'll tell you what will happen if you practice this every day. After a point in time, after many years, one time will come when Divine Mother's force will start penetrating you. So your sahasrara, your sahasrara chakra will open automatically by the grace of Divine Mother, and her force will start descending, and you will feel a surge of energy flowing through you. This is called reverse Kundalini. It's not Kundalini is not rising from the base where you need help. That nobody should practice Kundalini yoga unless you are guided by a living guru. But this reverse Kundalini, nobody has to need a guru. Divine Mother's help is enough. You are just worshipping her. It will happen automatically, and you will be bathing in that light and grace, and you will just sit, and slowly over a period of time, that light, that power, it's called Shakti path. That Shakti will automatically cleanse your soul, and it will liberate the soul from the bondage. And one will realize divine, and the body, mind, life, everything will become purified and transformed. But that's the process one will go through. To start with is start with this, and these are the things that will happen on the way. You will realize that Mother is doing the sadhana, you are not doing it anymore. That will happen after a period of time. But initially, for many years, you have to do the practice yourself. I hope this was of some use. Okay, and if you listen to this, please let me know whether it is helpful, or if you have any other questions, please let me know. Thank you. Hare Krishna.